Well, some current and former American troops call newly released Army Sergeant Bowe Bergdahl a deserter who deserves prosecution. Certainly not a parade when he comes home. He was held by the Taliban in Afghanistan for more than 5 years, and just in, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs says the Army may still pursue an investigation that could lead to desertion charges. Army Lieutenant Colonel Chris Jenks served in Iraq, now teaches law at SMU, and military law is very different from civilian law. Lots of different rules, so this can be handled in many different ways. What do you expect?
Well, one of the first challenges that the Army is already facing is the threshold for when you have to read someone their rights is not only different, but far lower in the military system than here in Dallas or elsewhere in the U.S. So if a military member suspects another military member of having violated military law, you have to read them their rights. So any military member who wants to ask Sergeant Bergdahl, what happened that night in June when you left or were taken,
right,
or would have to preface that with reading them their rights while he is in the hospital at Landstuhl, Germany. So
does he have the right to say, as a civilian would, I'm not talking to you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Yes,
but it's awkward that at the time that you're working on this reintegration, right, and welcome home, you would be advising someone of their rights because you suspect them of a criminal violation.
And we heard earlier this morning, people in his hometown say, boy, we're going to have a big party and a celebration and a parade when this kid comes home. The White House has put itself in an almost no-win situation by having that Rose Garden ceremony with mom and dad and saying we're so thrilled that he's coming home.
Very problematic. I don't see a lot of upside or a positive way out. And already we're seeing family members of service members killed while looking for Sergeant Bergdahl, obviously taking an exceedingly dim view of regarding him as a hero or having any kind of celebration.
Now, if he comes home and they say, okay, Sergeant Bergdahl, thanks for your service, you get an honorable discharge, he gets veterans benefits, he gets perhaps military retirement, he might even get a promotion because of his time while he was in captivity, which would be fairly common. There is going to be outrage over that.
Well, he wouldn't be entitled to retirement, but he was already when he went missing, he was a private first class. He's been promoted twice during captivity, which is, as you note, is common. You certainly don't.
And by all accounts, he in the middle of the night, without his weapon, walked outside what you call the wire, the perimeter, and just started walking. He was disaffected, said at one point, told some fellow soldiers, maybe I'm just going to walk to India.
Right. I mean, it's very telling to me that there has not been a single service member, former unit member, that has come out in Bergdahl's defense. All of the service members have a pretty similar narrative about his disappearance, that it was willful and intentional.
There have been similar cases in the past. How has the military handled those?
Well, in the case of Robert Charles Jenkins, he was a U.S. Army soldier who in 1965 was stationed in South Korea, but worried he was going to be sent to Vietnam. So he deserted and went to North Korea, which held him in more or less captivity for some 35 years. But when he eventually resurfaced in Japan, the U.S. Army court-martialed him. He was an elderly man at this point, court-martialed him. He received a dishonorable discharge and a very limited period of confinement.
Didn't go to prison for 50 years.
He went for 30 days. But I think one of the keys is that he has a federal conviction and his service is characterized as dishonorable. But the mechanism, the way you reach a dishonorable discharge or a bad conduct discharge is through a court-martial.
Right, right. Well, we will wait and see. Thanks so much for your insights.
Thank you.
It's a tough case. Well, not tough for a lot.